Welcome to the Massive Change Show. I'm Justin Foster.
And I'm Dr. Virginia Lacayo. In each episode, we have conversation with leaders who are getting in some good trouble by challenging paradigms and shaking the system.
And after each conversation, the episode shifts to the second show, where Virginia and I chat about what we learned from the guest.
If you know of any leaders who will make a great guest, please introduce us.
And of course, if you enjoy the show, please like, share, and leave a review.
Thanks for listening.
In today's episode of the Massive Change Show, we are joined by Christina Sjahli, founder of Profit Reimagined, a fractional CFO firm helping women entrepreneurs build values-aligned, purpose-driven businesses. Enjoy the show. So here we are again with another system shaker. Hi, Christina. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Justin. Hi, Virginia. Good to be here.
So you're joining us from Canada, is that correct?
Yep, Toronto, Canada.
This is one of those things where we most of us are just good neighbors, except it suddenly became like a thing, like it feels like a movie, that we used to joke when we were kids, about, well, we're going to invade Canada, and now, it's not even funny anymore.
Oh, so anyway. Please, let's not talk about the 51st state. How is that?
Yeah, I think there's so many people that would rather us go be like a province or something, so. Anyway. So just as for context, and we'll link to all your stuff, but I tell us a little bit about what you do and how you got here before we kind of dive into the system shaker questions. Tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah. Thank you for this opportunity. So I'm going to give you the short version, obviously. Okay. I spent about 25 plus years in the corporate world. Started as an auditor with two of the big four firms in accounting. And that's my background, accounting. And, move away from the audit side and then join the mining industry. And, as I move along the career path in a corporate world, something just didn't sit right. And, something is just telling me, there's got to be a better way of doing business. And as a finance person that is helping leaders to make decisions, I didn't feel good when I made the decision that put people and the planet in a disadvantaged position. And honestly, to tell you the truth, I didn't realize this. I didn't feel this. But as you get older, I think, you started feeling you want something more. You want something else. So about 5 years ago, I decided, I'm going to leave the corporate world. I'm just going to level up. And then if you have heard about the 10X thinking by Dan Sullivan, that's pretty much what I did. I 10X and then jump into entrepreneurship. And then I started Profit Reimagined. And Profit Reimagined is really a fractional CFO and finance team. And we work with purpose-driven business, especially women founders, to get clarity on their finances so they can change the world. That's in essence what we're doing. And then that's what I love to do these days.
Nice. Thanks. That sounds like right up our alley of the kind of people we love to have in our life. So I'm glad I reached out to you.
And as a businesswoman, I really appreciate when people in the finance industry focus on women and trust that women are really good shepherds of money and resource and nature and everything, because it's true that we are good with money, we are good with numbers, we are good with budgeting and making right decisions. The thing is, we have been conditioned to believe that we're not. And so we rely too much on men to say, even accountants and financial advisors, we look for men to tell us what to do because we don't trust ourselves. So having, women like you, but in general, companies like yours to say, like, we trust you, you're good at this, we're going to
Yeah.
just help you the way you need to be helped
Yep.
so you make the best decision you can make. That's what we need more.
I hear you, Virginia. That's what I want more as well. Trust me.
Yeah.
Working on it.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so let's in that line, because I guess that is going to be in that line, let's jump into the first system shaker question. So what is one of your big ideas? I guess that you have many, but what is that one big idea that it might piss off a lot of people, powerful people?
I think I mentioned this to Justin before in our pre-interview a few weeks ago. I never thought that this is a big idea, right? Like it's I just I just think this is a simple idea. And I our simple idea is really profit should be in service of people and the planet. It's not the other way around. We really truly believe that business can be a force for good. We, founder and leaders in small businesses, can have a heart, and finance should not be the gatekeeper, but it should be a bridge. And I think that idea can upset people, powerful people that maybe want to build wealth on exclusion. They don't feel guilty about extracting, from the planet, and they want to keep others out of the room. So that's what you call big idea to me. It's just like, well, it's a simple idea. It's just like we have to lead with heart, and then if we lead with heart, I believe that profit should be in service of people and the planet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a friend in New York who is a CPA she's a Black woman who only works with Black entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And she pointed out to me once that the financial literacy was intentionally um, built to keep people of color out of it because it was a kind of like they did with like learning to read, before the Gutenberg Bible, Gutenberg Press and all that. It was a way to control people, kind of like Virginia said at the beginning, and or just a minute ago. So it is definitely idea that would piss off people because so much so much of authoritarianism relies on people feeling like there's something, almost an inadequacy to them, as that's why they don't have access to the same resources. It's because there's something inadequate about them, as opposed to understanding that's a structural, systemic thing to keep people from financial literacy, as an example. So
Yeah, yeah, and then I think it is systemic, and then it is rooted, like Virginia mentioned earlier. We've been brought up this way, right? As a woman, I'm an immigrant. I came from Asian country, and in Asia, like even like looking at my family, I don't, culturally, and then even within my own family, my dad was the breadwinner, my dad was the planner, and my mom just followed, right? Until this day, my mom is close to 80 now. And we, like three siblings, all girls, women, we struggle to teach her how to invest properly, not to be taken advantage by the financial advisor. It's it's there, right? It's culture, system. The system is just not supportive, and it has to change. It has to
yes,
change.
yeah,
So let me follow up on that because I think it's a powerful idea, and it's very irreverent. I mean, we grew up thinking that profit is for individuals' benefits. Like I make profit, I work hard, especially in the United States with the American dream. Is like I work hard to get all the wealth and all the benefits and all the privilege and all the stuff that I want for myself.
Mhm.
And it's not for me to share necessarily. If what some other people want that, then they have to work hard as well. And which is, I mean, there's so many things wrong with that idea. But anyway, so it is controversial because it challenged everything we grew up learning about money and what is money about and what is money for and what is money for, like who, for who gets to hold it, who gets to invest it, who gets to expend it. So when you said that profit should serve people and the planet, in your imagination, how that looks like?
In my
Mm.
imagination, people should view profit to create impact in their communities, with their family, right? That is our goal. So let me give you an example. Within our business, ourselves, like Profit Reimagined, we are a global virtual woman-owned woman team, global and globally. I my team members are all women. Why did I do that? Right? Because I know some people are thinking, oh yeah, you just want something that is cheaper labor. But that's not it. The reason being, I am an immigrant. I came from a third world country. I know if we are given the opportunity to earn money, to be independent, we will be able to use that money to create the ripple impact within our community and support our family. We all have the right to do that, right? It's not just for the man in the house to do that. Women should be able to stand up and create more impact. So to me, that is as simple, as basic as it is on how you can use profit to create the impact. It's not easy, don't get me wrong, to run a business, to scale in the right way while the heart and the impact is still front and center and you care about the people that work with you. It's hard. While around you, what really happened, you are over and over again being challenged. Why don't you grow faster? Why don't you grow your revenue? But that's not why we are here. That's not why I founded Profit Reimagined. And that's not why I chose to have women team. I
Mm.
want the impact. I want them to be able to support their family, build a house, have a
Mhm.
retirement plan, create the wealth, educate their kids, right? And then after
Mm.
that, once you provide more to them, expand beyond their family. They can choose to use that wealth. Profit is a
Mm.
tool, money is a tool. It's not
Yeah.
that's I think that's the big things, right? You cannot feel guilty to have money. And then don't get me wrong, like as someone that is brought up uh, in a religious family, I feel guilty too. Sometimes I'm thinking, why do I want this money? What is it for? But you have to switch that mindset that you have to
Mhm.
see if you are good people, you're going to use this money for something bigger than you.
Mm. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yes.
Beautiful. Amen. Yeah.
And
uh,
I mean, just to add, there are many research that show that women in general, when they have access to money and they start making profit, they lift their communities as well. I mean, women have the tendency to take care of family and
mhm.
communities, and so they find a way. I mean, it's been even in extremely poor conditions,
Yep.
just a little bit of help to women usually is distributed that help and the benefits of the help is distributed among the communities around that woman, and that's for every woman. So imagine what we could do if we have, as women, we have, and in general, as minorities and marginalized groups, we have more access to that tool, that
Yep.
resource.
Hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you a quick example, and then I think this is relate to what you just said, Virginia. There is a certified B corporation in Mexico, actually, called Someone Somewhere. Okay. And what they do, they basically go to these indigenous communities in Mexico, and they create this t-shirt. And it's not the t-shirt that I'm talking about, it's how they utilize the communities, and then many of them are actually led by women. Women in the communities become the leader, and they create a cooperative models, which is very, in a third world country, cooperative model is, it's something that is common. In the US, cooperative model is not common. They make it a
Hmm.
big thing. But if you
Hmm.
go to the third world country, cooperative model is where the communities come together, and then they create wealth in that community. They share the wealth together. And when I interviewed this co-founder of Someone Somewhere, that's exactly what she was trying to create. Build a community led by women, and then also teach financial literacy. Because, like it or not, financial literacy is part of your wealth, not wealth accumulation, but if you want to build wealth, you need to understand it, right? And then
Hmm.
you make a decision, how are you going to use that wealth for the greater good in this world?
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. So shifting to kind of the challenge, there's sort of systemic challenges, obviously,
Yeah.
but I want to make it more like boots on the ground. Is what are some of the challenges that you have in acquiring new clients or creating differentiation from other fractional CFOs? Um, because there's lots of those in the world. What are some of those challenges that you're experiencing as you go out and you're looking for clients?
Uh, I think we are very specific in who are we looking for, and that's because of our framework, right? Our
Hmm.
framework is really based on empathy, curiosity, and trust. That's how we
Mm.
work with client, and then that's how we work internally. So the challenge when we go out to the market is really finding a client that believe profit, it should not be above people and the planet.
Hmm.
And we have been fortunate because we are part of a certified B corporation, right? The community is the community of like-minded individual. When they come to us, they understand the strategic decision or the financial forecast or financial decision that we're going to lead them, guide them. It's based on their value, right?
Mm.
And then majority of them, well, I shouldn't say majority of them, all of them is putting their people first. They're putting their
Mm.
planet, right?
Mm.
So that is our differentiation. We are not, if you look at other fractional CFO, it could be their decision is that, okay, your business is not profitable. So if the business is not profitable, what can we cut? And then
Mm.
normally in many businesses, people is the biggest cost. We don't
Right.
do that, right?
Right.
We're gonna challenge our clients to basically think, okay, before we go down that route, let's think about your type of service. Let's think about your pricing. Let's think about how are you positioning your business, right?
Right.
So what are the low hanging fruits out there? There's, you know, that you can work on and then create the result. It may not be a quick result, right? I'm not going to say that it's so easy for people to just switch their mind and I'm like, okay, you know what? I always going to take care of my people no matter what. Well, if you don't have a business,
Right.
you cannot take care of your people, right?
Right.
So it's really a choice, and then it's a strategic choice that is really led by your heart and your empathy.
Yeah.
Honestly, you
Beautiful.
don't want to go there and basically let's cut our overhead first before you
Yeah.
try to figure out other things.
Yeah. I mean, that by itself is a radical idea. That's, within finance, that's a radical idea of putting meaning before money for or math, let's say,
Yep.
and it's such an impulsive thing for U.S. businesses to go to layoffs. You rarely hear in even in large companies in Asia, in like Japan or Korea, for example, of doing layoffs.
Yep.
It's like way down the list. And I heard a story once from he was the CEO of Hyundai, and he said they were struggling, and he asked he was asked by a reporter, like, when are they going to be doing layoffs? And he goes, well, let's see what the results are after our executive team resigns. Like he's just like, that's what we're going to get rid of the executive team and let the people that don't actually know how to build cars stay in place. And it was the same CEO that, by the way, that came up with the 10,000 mile or 100,000 mile 10-year warranty, but he bought all the ads first, and then they released the ads, and the engineers all came in and said, what are you doing? And he goes, oh, you figure it out. This is what we're going to do. That kind of thinking. At least I love that stuff. So thank you.
Yeah. So, like I said, it's not easy. It's
Yeah.
really difficult to stay focused on that because your external world, the system, is not supporting you, right?
Right.
So,
And then you're dealing with also with, which is very human, the scarcity mindset. That the
exactly.
feeling of it's not going to be enough, it's going to go away
Yes.
anytime, I might lose
Yes.
everything. So I have to keep my priorities, clear. And priorities are not necessarily people, because if I don't have a business, I cannot take care of my people. So I need to make sure that I make enough profit. And things can get blurry in that mindset, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can.
Yeah.
And then I think, Virginia, Justin, I think what is really critical, right, to think about, especially when in my area, it's all about the number and the data, right?
Hmm.
And the only person who can put the heart into the numbers is your finance person, right?
Right.
It needs to be value aligned. It needs to be purpose aligned. Like if you're not aligned, then your decisions is just going to be based on data. And don't get me wrong, there is no business when there is no profit. And
Right.
I think businesses also sometimes forget, and then this is because of external factor and the system. You want to grow fast. And when you grow fast, instead of choosing the slow, value aligned path over the quick wins, you're going to focus more on your revenue. And then when you have your revenue, that's your demand. And if you have a service based business or any business, that's mean what is your supplies? It's your people, right? If you
Yeah.
think about it in that term. And then you're just gonna try to match your revenue with your supplies, and then you're gonna grow so fast, and then you forget at when there are external factors that shake your business. What are you going to do? I
Mm.
mean, there
Yeah.
are ways that you can come together and collaborate with your team and basically saying and be transparent and say, hey, you know what, here's the situation. There are
Mm.
external factors that we cannot control. What can
Yeah.
we come up together, right? It could be like someone's going to raise their hand and then said, hey, you know what? I can reduce my hour to part time. So, people who truly need it and it needs to work 40 hours, they can stay 40 hours, right?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
executive can say, you know what, I can let go my bonus, or I can take a salary cut. But that's an
Yeah.
abundance mindset, because you know that things going to get better and there's going to be a solution. But why don't we come up together and then rally together to make sure that the business survive?
Right. And I want to point out something you said, Christina, that you said it in an almost casual way, but it's such a profound thing related to about how do you go out and find clients, and you have taken a stand around this is who our client is, and we do an exercise with our clients called the ideal client triangle, and it's
Mm,
ethics, fit, project fit, relationship fit.
yep.
And you just did all three, like, and that clarity, and this is a thing that so many business people don't understand, is that there is some sort of like universal law of abundance or something that happens when you stick to those three things. Like it takes a level of courage or faith, and I don't even mean religious faith, to do that. And so I just wanted to give you a virtual high five for having such almost like casual clarity about that, that people that have struggled for years to and created this difference between, well, here's what I do on the side, or here's what I believe on the side, but here's what my business is. And you're like, no, we're gonna bring those two things together and stick to it. So that's awesome.
Thank you.
That's
Because I
awesome.
don't think though I can, I mean, why do I want to found a
Right.
business?
Yeah, I
I
know.
can
Yeah.
stay in
See, it's
corporate, right?
obvious to you. That's what I'm saying. It's obvious to you, and I often feel that way. But when you talk to a lot of business people, like that would be to them would be so like foreign to their mind to think that way. So, and for you, it was just like, yeah, that's the way it is. So,
I'm
anyway, that's
curious though,
just cool.
Justin, why is
Mhm.
that? Why do you think this idea is foreign, based on you and Virginia talk to your
Yeah,
clients?
it, it's for me, in my observation, 22 years of coaching business owners in their brand. Mostly it's men, mostly white men,
Hmm.
and that it's something that Virginia told me when we first met, that has been a profound thing, which is patriarchy hurts men too. And so the correlation here is that extractive capitalism, and the spirit of lack hurts entrepreneurs too. And I think that there's so much extra social conditioning around the perception of success, especially with white men in business, to have this
Hmm.
perception of success. We're watching a new series on Apple TV called Friends and Neighbors with John
Hmm.
Hamm, and he's having a complete like life meltdown of the illusion of being a rich white dude. And that's what it's about. It's an allegory almost of the breakdown of that illusion. And it is, you think about this. I have noticed this. It could be a white woman too, but just stick to white men in this case.
Yep.
When their business is struggling, they are taking it as if their child has a major illness. It's so deeply personal to them, and it's so attached to their identity and their ego.
Mm.
The people that I work with or know over the years that are people from marginalized groups, and they don't have that same association that I've noticed with the business. And I think part of it is that if you, and this is my observation as a straight white American man, that if you, if you need to, if you're not that, you have to figure out who you are.
Mm.
You have to figure out who you are within this crazy fucked up system. And then, but if you're a straight white American man, you don't have to. And then you get punched in the face by the marketplace or by a tariffs or something happens, and it is a direct attack on your identity. So that's why it's
Mm.
foreign. It's like because it doesn't seem to work that way for anyone else.
Mm.
It's just a strange way to live, in my opinion, that I've never really, even before when I was more of a right winger outlaw in Idaho. Like I still didn't really believe that idea. Like, no,
Mm.
this idea of entrepreneurism should be for everybody. Like, what are we doing here? So anyway,
That's interesting.
yeah.
And
Thank you. That's a great question.
you think about patriarchy and how influential has been in business, that we start believing that business should be ruled by men. When we think about leader, the concept of leader, usually a white man, adult, heterosexual comes to our mind first. And that women are, the idea that we grew up with, that women are not good leaders, that women are not good shepherds, that women are, partly because they're too soft. And soft means that they're sensitive, they have empathy, they care about other people, and those characteristics that are attached to women are therefore negative for leaders. So men especially wants to stay away from that. And being away from that means everything that you're doing. I mean, being away from everything that you're doing, not being empathic, not caring about people, putting profit first,
Yep.
being successful in certain ways because you don't want to be seen as a soft leader or a leader that is too feminine in that way, that has too many feminine features in their leadership, because that's supposed to not be good for business.
Yep.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
experienced that throughout my career at the corporate. Like I had, women leader, and then I felt like that person has to change, not being who she is, right? Because
Yes.
of the environment, the requirement to climb up the corporate ladder. You cannot be who you are. And then honestly, that's just didn't sit right for me. I want to be who I am, and then I want to be proud for what I believe in, and that's
Yes.
more important than climbing up the corporate ladder.
Yeah,
Right.
that's where the
Totally.
boss lady concept came from. Is really the woman that is tough,
Yep.
that looks tough, that
Yes.
dress like suits like men,
Yes.
usually pants also like suits, and behave like men. I mean,
Yep.
that's the successful business
Yeah.
woman, and the idea that we
Yeah.
have is like, don't behave like a woman, because
Yeah.
if you want to succeed in spite of being a woman, then you have to be as manly as possible.
And that's not
Yeah.
right.
That's not right. Thankfully, we have seen, a slight shift in the last 15 years. I think of the former CEO of Pepsi. She was from India and she talked about that very same thing, Virginia, and there are others too that are much more human first in the process. And it's interesting how it seems like even more of a contrast now, um, between sort of the awakened and the apathetic in the business world, considering everything that's going on in the world right now. So
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah,
do you
not
want to
enough.
do the last one? Yeah,
Yeah,
not
not
enough. Right, got a long way to go.
because it's
Yeah,
not enough.
between your work, Christine, and our work, and our other people in our circle, there's a long way to go. But it is
We
nice
have
to see, like,
hope.
there's hope, and there's models we can look at,
Yes.
like you as
Yes.
an example, what you're doing. So
Oh, and then same thing with what you're doing. So
yeah,
we're
thank
working
you.
together, right? To change
Yes,
the
yes,
system.
yes.
So the third question is,
Yeah.
what is the impact that you would like to see in the world based on your work? And I'm going to be more specific. When would you say, I did my job well? I mean, mission accomplished.
Okay, you know what? That is a very hard question
It is.
to answer,
Yeah.
because I feel like we are still so early in this journey. We still have a long way to go. And I don't have a number, Virginia. I don't have a number. I only know that we dream a world where purpose driven businesses feel financially confident and supported, especially the woman founder. In the future, and then I really hope that women founders can believe or trust that the financial number is actually can still be aligned with their value, and they can feel more powerful, more empowered, more confidence in building their business. And then they understand that they don't have to follow what out there to push them to move forward faster and then forgetting their values.
Mm.
But I don't have a number. When is that going to happen? I don't know. I
Yeah,
honestly don't know.
I don't think numbers is the only way. I mean, you know that numbers is not the only way to measure something. But if you said, for instance, that a large majority of, or there more and more every year, we have an increasing percentage, of female funders, and that female funders have been supported by CFOs like yourself that, balance profit with values, and that you see more women's funder uh, returning to their communities, giving back or contributing to social impact. Those are things that we can, as we're seeing right now, that are more, very little, but still more women CEOs of large companies that are making an impact just for being there. That's an indicator that is not enough for sure, but before, a few years ago, we didn't see that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the way I look at it, there are two things, right? In terms of the work that we're doing. Number one, I already mentioned, for me personally, it's really important to see my team to be able to create wealth and then have a good retirement life, right? That they don't struggle wherever they are. They can support their children to go to university instead of trying to, figure out, do I put the money in my children college fund or feed them, right? I don't want that. So that's
Mm-hmm.
number one. And then if I can support them and I see that they want to work for Profit Reimagined instead of they need to work for Profit Reimagined, that's what I think I accomplish from this business. That's number one.
Mm-hmm.
Number two is that from the client perspective, from the woman founder's perspective, what is really important to me is that they continue building their business and they can exit, whatever exit means for them.
Mm-hmm.
Exit can mean that maybe they sell their business to support their retirement, or they build a business that sustainable and independent from them so they can continue to be in the background yet still creating the impact because the business continue, it's sustainable enough. Or they can choose to sell that business to their employees. If I can accomplish that with many of my clients, again, we're not growing fast, we're not trying to be like a $50 million business. Okay, we're not. And that's just a fact. We are a boutique firm. But if I can see all of my clients can get there, and that means I already accomplished what I wanted
Mm-hmm.
in this business.
Yeah,
That's all.
beautifully said. Beautifully said.
So,
Well,
And
we'll put X.
you started
Hmm?
with in-house. I mean, that
yeah.
shows a lot that how consequente you are, meaning that how aligned is what you're saying, what you're teaching, what you're doing with your clients, and how you do it in-house as well. I mean, that you take care of your people, that you want to make sure that everybody is financially well, and that shows that you're walking your talk.
Well, thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you. It's a
Yeah.
lot. It's a long way to go, but we try. We try. I try to always keep that front and center.
Yeah. That's
So,
beautiful. Well, we'll put your links in the show notes and all of that. And we wish you great success. I'm sure we will talk to you when we're not recording.
I
We
hope so.
fellow travelers on this journey, and So we're going to shift to the second show, say goodbye
Yeah.
to you for now.
Yeah.
And it was wonderful. Thank you for the inspiring conversation. And I
Well, thank
can't
you.
wait to see where you go.
Thank you. And then
So
I'll visit you in Mexico.
great.
Okay. Take
Please
care.
do.
Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
All right.
Yeah. Second show.
Yeah. Yeah, it was finances is always one of the main challenge for any entrepreneur, I think, but especially for women entrepreneurs, because it's being sold as very intimidating. And that
Mm-hmm.
we were raised believing that we were not good at that, and that we needed a lot of help, and that we needed to trust, and that the chances that somebody's gonna you know steal from us or misguide us or anything is terrifying. And I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of women actually don't more women don't get into entrepreneurship career or building a business or something. Is just because it's scary. And having a good trustful guide, but also someone that not only has their values aligned to their mission and their work, but also help you to do the same thing, so you don't have to
Yeah.
sacrifice yourself and what matters to you in order to be successful. That's something that we need to see more, for sure. I mean, should be a
Yeah.
requirement for all CEOs
Yeah.
and CFOs, I think. Another
Yeah.
thing that I mean, if I'm just gonna share what I my notes
Yeah.
and the things that I make me think about the conversation. I remember during a time, because I come from the nonprofit sector, and I come from a developing country, an extremely poor country, the second poorest country in the hemisphere, and I grew up in poverty. That and also in a political system that was pseudo socialist, and so money was demonized, and capital was demonized, and
Mm-hmm.
profit and wealth and was demonized. And I remember growing up in that environment thinking that I didn't want to have money. At least I didn't want
Mm-hmm.
to have too much money. I wanted to have enough money so I didn't have to worry about it. But that was it. That was my goal. Like, enough money so I don't have to worry about it. Basic things. My retirement, my kids, my family, my basic needs, things, housing, things like that. But as I grew up and I became a businesswoman and an entrepreneur, and I started living here in the United States and also seeing other places, and also continue working with nonprofit organizations and also with for-profit organizations that are impact driven, I realized that I do want to have money. I do want to have a lot of money, because I realized that money is not just a tool, but it will give me two things that I never considered before. The first one is it will allow me to buy my time to work on my zone of genius, to work on
Mm-hmm.
things that I know will contribute to the world, but nobody can pay or will pay for it right now. I mean, to
Mm-hmm.
write books, to create programs, to write more, to share more in the world, to go to places to help there. I mean, there's so many things that I can do, but I need to buy that freedom for myself,
Mm-hmm.
for me, in order to do it. And the second thing is that the more, this is my mentality, and this is what I think Christina was saying when she said that profits should be to serve people on the planet, not the other way around, not to serve yourself. I think of so many programs. For instance, I have the program that I call Self Coaching for Activists. That is a beautiful program that has shown amazing impact. And I have trained activists in this program, more than 450 activists on this program, that to the day they keep reporting me, the effects and the impact that that program had on their life and their leadership. That program is not cheap. I mean, it's cheaper than most, but it's not completely for free. I mean, it has a production cost. It has a cost behind it. And it's very frustrating for me not to be able to offer it to thousands at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Money is for that. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
thought, okay, I want to make a lot of money, so I don't rely on donors and I don't rely on the sponsor, and I can be the sponsor of the things that I think
Right.
that matters, and it's gonna make a great impact. And I can, the more money I have, the more are gonna be able to help. So when
Yeah.
you think like that, I think it challenged my original ideas. I mean, the way I grew up, the ideas I believe I grew up with about around what money's for and what is the value, the real value of money. I challenge all of those, but also for other people that already have money, thinking that the invitation is to think what money is for. I mean, there
Mm-hmm.
is so many cars you can buy and use and enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many trips you can make without being
Mm-hmm.
away from your family for that long. There is so many experience, so many clothes. I mean, there is a limit with the stuff that you can get with
Mm-hmm.
money. Other than that, your money is just sitting there and it is feeding the
Mm-hmm.
ego of I'm having more and more and more, but that doesn't go to with you to the grave. So
Mm-hmm.
this is the time when you're alive, when you are in, full capacities. This is the time to think what really money is for, knowing that it's just a thing, it's just a tool that you can use
Mm-hmm.
for something else. And so, what
Right.
is money for in this moment? What you want to use it that it will actually make an impact and leave a legacy, because there is so much you can use for
Right.
yourself.
Right. Yeah. That's all really good. I think a couple things that came up for me were I love that she didn't say it this way, but there was a discerning point between, let's call it entrepreneurism, extractive capitalism, and socialism. And um, that we are often presented this idea from more the economic progressive left, the far, far left in the United States, that wealth is the problem. Wealth is bad. And I push back against that because wealth is the result, is not just the result of a system. It's what you do with it too. What my criticism is the extraction that is allowed of people, and that there are it's encouraged, not just allowed, it's encouraged by the system to extract from the planet, extract from humans, um, and that you look at a system that rewards the top by extracting from the bottom. That is not because the top is particularly smarter. It's because they had the power. It was a power thing. The power is the issue, and also socialism does to a large extent is just redistribute the power to a different source, to more of a government source. And so what I love about what she's doing is that she's basically doing a third way, which is, you could call it conscious entrepreneurism or purpose driven, or however, there's various terms for it. But I think it's the counter to, you and I are watching we just finished season 2 of Loot with Maya Rudolph, and, which is very loosely based off of Mackenzie Scott giving all of her money away. And there's something about that that's sort of noble. Like, she's giving her money away. But you could even see in the show how casual she is about her own wealth, and removed from, it's part of one of the running jokes of the show is he's sort of removed from the actual struggles of society. And what I would love to see is where wealth is generated through consciousness, and then distributed, as opposed to the Christmas story model, where they have an awakening and they're billion, and none of this shit matters and I'm going to give it all away. Well, yeah, but what does that do for what you did to get it? Like the people you harmed. along the way to get it. And it's a little bit of my criticism of sort of in the philanthropic industry too, which to me in many ways sort of perpetuates this thing of like, you make enough money so you can give it away. Well, what if you didn't think like that at the beginning? What if your entire mindset from the very beginning of pursuing wealth, which again isn't the problem, was that it would be, you would set it up so that it was producing success for other people. And I think of Mark Cuban and how many people that have worked for him that have become multimillionaires because of the way that he structured his business. Here in Austin, they have Dellionaires, people early on in Dell who took stock options, or Microsoft was the same, had the Microsoft millionaires. There is a way to do it. It takes a certain mindset, a certain heart, a certain ethos, yet we don't celebrate that enough. We far more celebrate. It's easy to condemn sort of the Trumpy, Gordon Gekko, well, greed is good, that kind of. It's easy to make that the enemy, but we celebrate way more the billionaire who had an awakening and was like, I'm going to give it all away, than we do the less famous billionaire who's like, no, I built this from the beginning to distribute this.
Yeah,
that's who we should be celebrating.
yes.
It's like in movies, they don't show the customer service department. They show the marketing people.
Yeah.
In business. It's like, no, the customer service people are the brand. HR is the brand. It's sort of a version of that, like celebrating people who from the very beginning said, I'm going to do this differently.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think also I said this when we were talking to her, but it was sort of funny to me, and funny in a good way, that when I asked her about differentiation, and she was just so clear about how it's like, well, yeah, I mean, we're very clear about who we serve. And if I was to choose like the top 3 things that the clients I work with on their brand struggle with, it's who's my audience? What's my message? Who's my audience? And how do I reach them? Well, she knew all 3. She said her message multiple times. She knew her audience and she knew how to reach them. And I just think that it shows too of branding is not hard when you know who you are. And I wrote this earlier today on LinkedIn, but ironically often is your brand is who you are when you're not marketing, air quotes. Mm-hmm. And she wasn't marketing. She was like, I don't know the number. I'm just going to keep doing what I do and it's going to grow. And it's like so refreshing.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Any other thoughts before we say goodbye to everyone?
No, I think that's it. I like just to quote her, she said, finances should not be a gatekeeper, but a bridge.
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah.
That was
really good. Yeah. Well, this concludes another episode of the Massive Change Show. You know the drill, everyone. If you like what you hear, please share it. Please comment. I'll put the link to the place where you can nominate or submit a name of someone that's a system shaker that you think would make a great guest for the show. If you are a person that wants to create systemic change and you want help with your mindset and your brand, and you want to stir some shit up with those things, then reach out to us as well. It's always free to be our friend. So for that, we'll see you down the road on another episode.